Good morning. I'm Gary Gillen with the Wharton County Junior College Foundation Board, and I have the great honor today to visit with Dr. David Byrd, who is the Vice President of Access, Completion, and Transfer. That's a pretty impressive title. So before we get started, why don't we actually start with your education journey? How did you end up at Wharton County Junior College?
Sure. So I started out, finished my undergraduate and my master's degree at Texas A&M in the late 90s, and immediately started working in admissions at Texas A&M. Moved over into recruiting for the College of Education there and made my way up to being an assistant dean for undergraduate programs when I left there after about 15 years. And then from A&M, I took a position at the University of Texas Health Science Center in the School of Nursing, where I oversaw enrollment management for that school. And then made my way over to Texas State University, where I was an associate vice president, and then my most recent stop was at Coastal Bend College as the vice president of student success there, and was really excited when this opportunity came up at Wharton County Junior College. I had been talking with Dr. Allen, and we were on a grant-funded project together. And I kind of went to her in one of the meetings and I said, hey, if you ever have a vacancy, consider me a free agent. And here we are. So just excited to have the opportunity to be here.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
And we're glad to have you here. But the title, Access, Completion, and Transfer.
Right.
For those of us who aren't in the education field, can you kind of walk us through those three words and what they mean?
Sure. I think it's in Dr. Allen's vision for the college, it's intentionally designed to really think about how we need to serve our students, both for the college to be able to leverage House Bill 8 and outcomes-based funding to make sure that we are no longer going to be funded based on how many students we're enrolling. We're funded based on how many students are completing and how many lives are we changing for the communities that we serve.
Well, let me interrupt you there, because a junior college, and I know that Wharton County Junior College is, I think, the second leading transfer college in Texas.
That's right.
So if you're transferring, how do you get funded?
We are funded in outcomes based on how many students do transfer, and we do quite well there. And not only are we second highest in the state in our transfer rate, when I look at data here in the Houston area of the Gulf Coast colleges, we have the highest transfer GPA when a student leaves us to go to a four-year university in their first semester. We also have the second highest retention rate of students after they leave us to go to that four-year university. So we're telling universities that we're a good bet. If you're taking a pioneer into your campus, you know that student is well prepared. They have a great foundation in their education, and they're going to be in that baccalaureate program to graduate. So I think it's a part of our legacy and our history as a college that we do really well with that. We are concentrating a lot of our energy now is making sure that we're more seamless in that work and being intentional in creating those pathways, which is a major focus of my job, but also connecting with industry and making sure that we're meeting the workforce needs of the communities that we serve. So going out and building relationships with industry partners, finding out where is our curriculum working, where is it not working, how do we need to adjust the programs that we deliver so that students don't have to leave our community to go find that family-sustaining wage job that can help transform, their family and their lives as they're trying to make a meaningful impact in society. And so being responsive to the needs of industry is really critical for what we're trying to do.
So then we have two kinds of student. One is just getting the basics before they move on to a four-year college.
Right.
But there are other students whose entire education career can be right here.
Right. And for those transfer students, we still have work to do there as well. I think there's this misconception in higher education that students are going to graduate from high school, they're going to go to a community college for 2 years, they're going to transfer immediately, all their courses are going to count, they have 2 years of the bachelor's degree, and then they graduate with their undergrad. And that's just not reality for the students that we serve. The majority or half of our students are taking classes part-time. We need to make sure that our degree plans are responsive to the way they're going to experience higher education. And also that we know that our academic pathways are designed in a way that they're going to help that student accomplish what they want to do. And it's counterintuitive, but that means that we need to put guardrails on our academic programs. We need to provide fewer options because students aren't looking to come in and just take random electives that may or may not work with their degree. They want to know, I want to get to that destination. How are you going to help me get there without a lot of debt and without a lot of my classes not transferring? And so that's really the work that we're engaged in, is making sure our pathways are clearly aligned and that we're getting students on that path as early as we possibly can. As soon as we are recruiting them and admitting them, we're getting them advised in a meaningful way.
So access is basically what you just talked about.
Right. Enrollment management, admissions,
and
financial.
completion can mean either transferring somewhere else or
Right.
completing their program here. And then transfer, of course, is going to that four-year college.
Right.
Now, when I interviewed Dr. Allen some time ago, she made the comment and talked about this theoretical single mom who's wanting to better her career. Mm-hmm. So how would your role in the college play to that individual who already has a job but wants to provide more for their family?
Sure. A lot of it is digging into the workforce data of our communities. And we're blessed to have a relationship with the Houston Endowment right now where they're helping us to look at workforce data. And we just had our first convening with them. When we looked at the data of what does industry need in our communities and how can we connect that single mom with those high-paying jobs, what we're finding is a lot of the positions where there's a need are at the supervisory level. And so in the case of that single mom, we may be able to provide that experience for her to advance the education that she needs. She already has the job in industry. We can give her the education and the skill sets that she needs so that she can get those supervisory type positions and just increase her economic earning potential.
But how would she do that? Because she's working during the day.
Right. And part of it is making sure that we have the resources so she may not have to work that full load in the workforce, making sure that the classes that we're having her take are actually helping her accomplish her goal and not wasting money or time taking the wrong things. And then we're doing a great job with things like our emergency aid program and many of the resources we provide in student services to help lighten that burden for that mom. We can't take away of all of life's issues that she's going to face, but we can certainly help make that pathway a little bit easier for her if we help provide some of those resources.
Well, if she was working Monday through Friday, 8 to 5,
right.
When would she go to school?
So we are looking at flexible course schedules. We have an initiative right now with our APT-to-CAP that's looking at an 8-week scheduling model. So we're engaged in a study to look and see, are there ways we can truncate the time that a student needs to be in a course. 8-week is really kind of that next iteration of where higher education is going, with the concept being that if a student has persistent and continuous access to having to do the assignments and the readings and everything, they're much more likely to persist through that course. But it also provides flexibility where we could teach those courses in the evening or on weekends. And because it's 8-week, they don't have to give up as much of their life to get that course completed. So there's several different strategies that are happening at the same time, but all of them have that type of a student in mind. What are the ways we can be flexible to help make their life a little easier?
So someone who wants more education but is working 8 to 5 doesn't have to feel that they
Right.
just can't do it. There are ways.
Right, and many of our students are working. Many of them are working full-time. And that's why so many of our students are going part-time and they're fitting in the courses as they need to. I met with a student recently who wants to be an engineer. He's a single dad with 2 kids, and he was just sharing his experiences of how difficult he was having of a time to find the courses he needed. I met with him for a couple of hours actually and asked him to give me like a summary of his experience, and then I took that to our Student Services Council so that we could have real conversations about that as a case study. How are we going to address some of these issues moving forward? It's not going to happen immediately, but we would love for people in our community to know that those conversations are taking place frequently, and we're constantly thinking about how we can transform what we're doing to be more responsive to our student needs.
It's interesting. And you mentioned APT-to-CAP. Could
Right.
you kind of lay that out for us? That's a really interesting concept.
Yeah, so really excited about our student success framework, and it's really an approach we're taking to be intentional in designing everything that a student needs to be more intrusively advised and intentionally advised early on, get on meaningful pathways that are well designed so a student knows these are the courses I need to take to get to that career, to that transfer option. Everything is laid out where, with or without having to see an advisor, they have the ability to use those pathway maps to get where they need to be. And so everything is thinking about both our immediate things we need to do that are best practice, things like making sure students are taking an English or math in the first semester, completing an English or math in the first year, making sure that they're being retained for that first year and making progress through their pathway. And then our long-term goals, how many of those students are getting jobs in their first year? How many of those students are making their way with transfer, and how are they performing once they do transfer? So it's very data-based. There's both leading and lagging indicators that are informing our work, and it's ambitious. There are high, lofty goals that we're pursuing, but I believe in the plan that we're putting together, and I believe in making sure that we are shooting for lofty goals because our students deserve it.
You mentioned something a while ago that was interesting that I'd like to pursue a little bit. Assume for a moment that I am an employer in Fort Bend County, Wharton County, or Matagorda County, and I need employees.
Right.
What role would Wharton County Junior College, and more specifically you, play in my need for employees?
Sure. A major focus of my work over the past couple of months has been partnering with folks like the Wharton Chamber of Commerce and going out and meeting folks in industry and learning what their needs are so we can adjust our curriculum to meet those needs. But a key thing that we're trying to do is make sure that employers know how to get connected with our students as well. We have a tool called Handshake that employers can register with, and if they have a vacancy and they want to hire a pioneer, they can put that job out there, and then we can strategically get students connected to those vacancies that are out in our community. Something innovative that I'm really wanting to do is partner with industry to get students at a younger age, whether they're middle school or high school. If they're going on a plant tour, for example, we were at Constellation Energy recently where they brought in a high school for a campus tour or a plant tour. We were there with them, with our recruiters, and so as they're talking about these are the types of degrees that you need to get this education, it might be that they need to have an engineering degree. We can be there to talk about what transfer would look like. It might be that they're talking about plant operators, and we can talk about process technology or our nuclear power technology program. And so immediately making it real for how a student can see, I can be in that job, and if I want to get there, the folks I'm talking to in this event are going to help me make that a reality. And so it's really just making that connection from app to cap so that they're going straight into industry or that transfer option to get that career that they're after.
So you would actually start having this conversation at middle school age?
Absolutely. With dual credit right now, we even have a school district we're partnering with where we're now allowing 8th graders to start taking our courses as an entree into their dual credit curriculum. And so dual credit is a vital part of what we're trying to accomplish as well, making sure that students aren't just taking random classes to fulfill their high school credit. We want the college credit that they're receiving to help them accomplish that long-term goal as well. So we really are thinking about adult learners. We're thinking about outreach into the middle school and our dual credit students. We're talking about traditional learners. Our community is so diverse that we really can't leave any one population out of this conversation.
So when you talk about process technology, that is really a very wide open field. So if I'm that employer looking for employees to manufacture something,
right,
would the process technology be the direction
it's a great one. All of our programs that we offer in Bay City are poised to do some pretty amazing things, whether it's nuclear or manufacturing technology, process technology. All of those are very responsive degree programs that we offer that are meeting the needs of industry, especially in Matagorda County. But really our goal is to look at all of our curricula to make sure that all of our programs, whether they're doing business office technology, are we providing the education that a student needs so that they can go straight into the office environment here in Fort Bend? Are we providing auto tech in a way that it's getting the industry standards met so a student can go into a dealership and be on a pathway towards a high-paying career in that industry? So all of our programs are going to be looking at what do we teach, how do we teach it, and are we doing it in the most efficient way to connect with those high-paying jobs that are out there.
I know that we train a lot of nurses and allied healthcare folks.
Sure.
Are you saying that we could also train the office manager
Absolutely.
at that same clinic or,
Sure.
or doctor's office?
Sure. You have health information technology that is really helping our students in those career paths understand electronic health records, for example, and how to process insurance payments and things like that. So if we look at here in Fort Bend County, we've had such a boom of the healthcare industry. We have to be responsive to those needs, and it's not just the allied health providers who are going to be working in hospitals and clinics, but also the front office staff to make sure that we're meeting those needs as well.
Can you describe for us a moment in your career where you realized that education was your passion?
Sure. Well, I grew up with a mom who was a school teacher, had her in the 8th grade, so that wasn't awkward at all. But she was a history teacher, and I grew up with an absolute love for history, and my summer vacations were to battlefields and Chaco National Monument in New Mexico and places like that. So other kids were going to Disney, and I'm going to Shiloh, so okay. My dad was a rancher, is a rancher, but he would volunteer with ag education programs in our county, and so I was always around education in some way. When I went to A&M, my mom said, don't become a teacher, and my dad said, don't become a rancher or go into agriculture, and I ended up getting a master's degree in ag education, so I guess I wasn't a great son, but I'd always been around education in some way as a kid. But when I was working at A&M, very early in my career there, I was responsible for recruiting teachers into the College of Education, and we were focusing on urban education programs. And so I was working with a student from HISD, and I went to her home after the school day to help pick up documents for the admissions process and everything. And this young lady lived in a kind of an efficiency apartment close to downtown with her 3 sisters and her parents. And as you can imagine, it was cramped and it was small, and she had no idea. She was a first-generation college student, had no idea how this process was going to play out. But I was there to guide her through that. We fast forward, I was able to help her get into our bilingual education program. She was able to get a job with Bryan ISD right after she graduated from A&M. And one of the proudest moments of my career is keeping up with her on social media. A couple years after she graduated, I saved a picture of her taking the for sale sign off of her first home. And what was really cool is she was buying that home not only for herself and changing that generational poverty that she was kind of coming from, but she was getting a house that was large enough so that her daughter or her sisters could come to Bryan and live with her while they went to A&M to do the same thing. And at the end, all of those sisters ended up getting certified to teach and are now, contributing back in education. That was really meaningful because it just showed the impact that we can have as educators. And it's not just for that student, but we think about filling the needs of our society and making sure that we're helping students improve their station in life, but in so doing, we're serving our community. And that's the real power of education, is we have that ability to transform our local environment in a way that no other industry can, I think.
You mentioned first generation college students. Mm-hmm. Is that a main focus of Wharton County Junior College, those folks who do not have a family history of secondary education?
I think it's the mission of all community colleges to make sure that we're egalitarian and that we're providing opportunity to as many folks as possible. That's the beauty of why community colleges came about in the post-World War II GI Bill era, is we want to make sure that we were expanding access to education beyond the K-12 level for everyone. And the greatest economic driver of our country, and I think the last great hope for our society, is a more educated population. If we want to make sure that we continue to be a global leader in our economy, we have to make sure that we have skilled, educated workforce potential to do that. And that's the role that we play. And the beauty of a school like Wharton County Junior College is, when I was taking a higher education course at A&M for my doctorate, I had a faculty member who reminded me that for many students who choose to go to a community college, it's not going to Wharton or going to Harvard, it's going to Wharton or no higher education at all. And we have to take that very seriously, that we are that first conduit into greater opportunity. Again, whether it's transferring on to that four-year degree or entry into the career, that's the mission that we have, that's the role that we have. In Apticap, we talk about how students select us, and so we need to take this mission very seriously, that they've invested in us. They have taken a chance and chosen us for the potential that we can provide. And that's what's exciting about this work, is every day we get to come in and try to create innovative programs that help make that a reality for them.
That's very exciting.
It is.
And I had not thought about that. So you're saying that for many people, it's Wharton County Junior College or a college like it, or no education at all.
It could be.
Which locks them into whatever job they're doing right now.
Right.
Whereas Wharton County Junior College can elevate them to the next level.
That's right.
Along those lines then, do you have a plan for improving access to education to the folks who live in these three counties that we predominantly provide? I know that we do have students who live in even more counties,
right,
but predominantly Wharton, Fort Bend, and Matagorda counties are the areas that we focus on.
That's right.
So is there a plan to open educational opportunities up to even more people in these areas?
Definitely. As I mentioned, with dual credit, we're working with our school district partners to try to get as many students as possible to take advantage of the dual credit opportunities that exist. We're taking a look at our traditional population by making sure that we have good process maps and program maps. What we find is a major obstacle for students is access to information. And it's pretty ironic that in this day and age where we're all connected with our phones and we all have, Wi-Fi access everywhere we go, there can still be very confusing information that's out there on how to make this work for them. And when we talk about first-generation college students, it's a hidden curriculum to go through college. And so it's our job to help translate that for them and mentor them through that. So our plans, whether it's our recruitment plan that's trying to be more intentional in how are we getting that information in the hands of students before they start with us, or designing our program maps so that they're well laid out in a way that's not confusing to students who may not speak the language of higher education. All of those plans are designed to promote access and at the end of the day really just make sure that students understand that we are here for the student. We exist because of the student. This is their college. We're just blessed to be stewards in the moment, to be here with the college. But ultimately, we don't exist if it's not for the students who are walking our halls. And so we want them to feel that sense of belonging and that ownership that this is your college and you can and will succeed here if you invest in your future with us. And so a lot of it's just access to the information, being more intentional with what we design and how we get that information out. There's a lot of virtual tools we're about to start deploying. We're looking at starting a client relationship management system that's going to allow us to send push notifications and text messages to our students in a communication campaign way. So we can be very intentional with what message do we give students, giving the right message at the right time when they need it to meet their needs. So some of these plans are still in the works, and it costs money to put those plans in place, but we're strategically planning to do that.
You mentioned earlier that you want to partner with employers in the service area of Wharton County Junior College. So that employer who is interested in the college educating their future workforce could play a role in financing that education as well, couldn't they? How would that work?
Yeah, absolutely. And the work that the foundation does for the college is critical in cultivating those relationships with employers, making sure that they understand our needs and more importantly, the needs of our students and the role that they can play in that. It's expensive to run a college, and it's expensive to go to college. And I think the more as a community we can work together to find those resources to bring down costs for students, to develop new programs, to hire the faculty that are going to help, make sure our students are meeting the needs of industry. It really takes all of us working together to make that happen. And so I think those philanthropic dollars are critical, not just in providing support for students, but providing the overall support that we need as a college to keep the lights turned on, which is not really a sexy way of raising funds, but it's the reality of the situation that we have to have great facilities for our students to be able to learn within our curriculum. And so all of those pieces play together.
Right. If I were a parent with a child in high school, why should I encourage them to take dual credit courses?
It's a low-cost way to get credit out of the way as early as possible. So I have two daughters. One just got admitted to Sam Houston State. She's starting in the fall. She's going with 30 hours and a 4.0. And the benefit to me, and not only is in my pocketbook, that it was a very affordable way for her to knock out coursework, to see the confidence that she has going into the four-year university is priceless. I think back when I went to A&M, I didn't do dual credit. I went into my first semester absolutely having no idea what being in a university was going to be like. And I found out very quickly during midterms what college education was going to be like. For dual credit students, they've already been through it. They've already had the confidence. We've built up their self-efficacy so they know they can be successful with college coursework. And so a lot of the fear and anxiety that they're going to have about what is college going to be like has already been addressed. And they can hit the ground running in that first year after high school, knowing that they have credit under their belt. It's going to be transferable and work towards their long-term goals. But more importantly, they can do it and they can be successful.
Does the high school student taking dual credit courses have access to guidance from the college so that they know that they're taking the correct courses for the career path they want to?
One of the four initiatives we have within APTICAP is a presidential commission that I'm chairing that's looking at pathways planning, and we're taking a two-pronged approach within that commission. One is looking at our overall academic maps to make sure, as I said, they're all aligning with industry needs or transfer. But we actually have a subcommittee that's looking at our dual credit maps as well. And all of those students do have access to all of our resources that we have as a college. And we partner with our school districts to make sure that the counselors are informed about our programs and things like that. But there's kind of been this a la carte model historically in dual credit across the state where, a student needs an English, we align it with our English course and they can take that. But it may just be a one-off course that they're taking. It's not a part of a series of courses that help them actually get to where they want to go. So our work is now to make sure that we're much more intentional in packaging our courses together in a way that makes sense. That's going to be addressing things like toxic course combinations. It's never a good idea to take a math and two sciences in the same semester, for example. So let's design our pathway so that doesn't happen, and then we can help students be more successful in that journey. And now we're taking that same approach into the high school with our dual credit relationships.
You said a word that I think is really important, and it's confidence. Mm-hmm. Describe to me why it's important for that dual credit student to build that confidence.
Sure.
I am like you, except much older. when I went from Lamar High School here in Rosenberg to Texas A&M in 1976, I went from 450 students in my graduating class to 25,000 students at college with no interim. I should have gone to Wharton County Junior College first as an interim, I think, and I think I would have been a more successful student because I lacked that confidence. So describe for our listeners why that confidence is important in education.
In higher education literature, it's often referred to as self-efficacy. How much does a student know that they can be successful? That level of confidence is critical. And it's a major component in student success. If somebody has had that experience in their past and they've overcome the obstacles and challenges, they can build on that for their future endeavors that they take on. And I think that's true of any phase of life, right? I mean, a college is no different than any other aspect. Early in your career, if you overcome a few challenges and you start to realize that I really do know something and I can actually be pretty good at this, you're poised to be even better at it in the future. And it's the same way with our college students. If they know that they can overcome the challenges, they know they can handle the coursework, the volume, the rigor, they know how to study for exams, the next course is, they're just going to be more comfortable with that and less anxiety because they know they've done it before. The content might be different, might be a different course, but at the end of the day, college courses, for the most part, are structured in a way that makes sense. And it is different than the expectations of K-12. And I think that's where the confidence comes in is, for first generation students, it's a different environment. It's something they haven't had a lot of exposure to. For them to have that early, less threatening environment where they're not having to take on a full course load and to succeed in it just builds that confidence they can move on.
I presume that a student who is the first person in their family who is seeking higher education doesn't have the same support at home that someone whose parents went to college.
Right.
So what can Wharton County Junior College do for that student to help them overcome the lack of support at home? Not because their parents don't want to support them, they just don't know how because they haven't been there.
Absolutely. So a major movement in higher education, again, thinking back on our time at A&M, we went to orientation, we were pretty much dumped off, at least I was, by my parents. Like, I think that the biggest help I got to go to A&M was my dad lifted a TV into my truck so I could get it to College Station. That's completely different in higher education now. We want parents to be along for the journey. And so as we think about our parent nights at high schools, we're doing events that are specifically targeted towards the parent. When I was at A&M, we designed a program as part of our orientation where we intentionally split the parents and the students in one of our meetings. Students went off to talk to their academic advisor and start talking about their course registration for the fall. Our parents went to our Student Success Center and we talked to them about how to support your child when they call home and they're homesick. What role do you play in connecting students with resources so that even if a student didn't hear that we offer free tutoring after hours, that parent may have heard it. And the conversation on the phone on that first meeting after they fail an exam isn't, that's it, I'm coming home. It's, well, have you considered going and using supplemental instruction, or have you gone to the Student Success Center? So it's making parents be a partner with us in those conversations, and that's a conversation we're having. We're actually doing that with our dual credit work right now. Yesterday we were at El Campo meeting with homeschool students, and it was with the students and their parents to make sure the parents were hearing the same narrative that we were, that the students were getting from us.
What would you say to someone considering investing in Wharton County Junior College students?
When you look at our outcomes as a college and how we serve our students and what our students are able to accomplish after they've had an experience with us, all I can say is it's a good bet to invest in our college. When I look at the revenue that some of our peers have in this area, we have a much smaller budget, operating budget. We have a much smaller tax base. We have much smaller revenue streams in a lot of respects. But again, you look at how Wharton students are prepared when they transfer. We look at what they're doing in industry. As I've talked with some of our employers in the community, and they are seeking out pioneers that they can hire because they know that they're well-trained, well-prepared. We are amazing stewards, I think, with the money that we receive, and the outcomes speak for themselves. So investing in our college is not just investing in the potential that we have, it's investing in the legacy that we have of preparing great students and making sure that they're contributing back to the community.
Could you briefly address the benefits to a community of education?
Absolutely. Thinking again about what does the data say about the industry needs of our area. We know that there are key vacancies that we can address as a college. Rather than having to go into Houston and recruit employees who are trained by other programs or from other employers and having to invest in higher salaries to try to be more competitive, we want our students to make the highest salary possible, but if we can prepare that student for an entry-level position and then help grow them for those supervisory positions within industry, you're investing in homegrown talent, and we're keeping Wharton students in the Wharton service area. And so we are actually engaged in a conversation right now with Texas State University for our Associate of Arts and Science students, all of the students in our vocational programs, where they will be able to take that 2-year degree with us, get entered into industry, and then in an online program complete a bachelor's degree through Texas State University while they're in industry. And so for that student who may go out to Constellation Energy, for example, and they get that entry-level position, while they're making their way up in their career there, they can concurrently complete a bachelor's degree, and then they're eligible for that bachelor's degree, or for that bachelor's trained supervisory position that they may be going after. I say all that to say that that's really the role that we play, is to find that student here in our community and keep them here as a contributing member to industry so that they don't have to go off for education in another area. They don't have to go and find that high-paying job in another community. We can train them here, we can keep them here, and we can help contribute to industry here.
Let me finish with this. If I were a high school student or an individual who currently has a job but would like to have more responsibility, greater reward, how would I even connect with Wharton County Junior College? How do I find out what my options are?
Sure, and that's a major obstacle that we have currently is getting those students connected with us, and so we have to do a better job on our side of being more intentional with being in the right spaces where those students are located. Part of that is the tools that we need to invest in, like a CRM and virtual platforms and things like that. But we're redesigning our recruitment plan right now that's going to be rolled out in May so that we have assigned school locations for each of our recruiters. We have recruited territories that our recruiters will be out in those spaces more intentionally so that students can connect with the people who are going to help them navigate that pathway. Then the other piece of it is making sure our web resources are structured in a way that they make sense, they're accurate, and everything can be, available 24/7 when the student needs it, not when we think they need it.
Thank you very much. I'm so glad that we've had this opportunity to introduce you to our community, and it's been a really interesting conversation. Is there anything that I've missed that you would like specifically to say to our viewers? Because these are folks who, for the most part, support Wharton County Junior College.
Absolutely. I continue to invest in the college. Like I said, it's a great, it's not even a gamble. I think when people invest their time, their talent, their treasure into Wharton County Junior College, they know that we are going to be good stewards of all of those resources, and we're going to put them to work for our students. We're putting the students at the center of everything that we do, and the decisions that we make, we're always keeping the student at the forefront. We want to make decisions that are best for them, not best for us as administrators or for the bureaucracy that we've created. So continue to support us, know that we are taking that role very seriously, and we look forward to building new relationships where they don't exist.
Thank you very much. Dr. David Byrd, we appreciate your time, and please remember to support Wharton County Junior College.
Absolutely.